Hello and welcome back everyone. Today's session is for leaders and those who are ready to be leaders very soon. We will be breaking down a very important topic that can significantly influence your and your organization's success. This is strategic leadership. Strategic leadership helps us to look beyond today's challenges and build a strong vision for tomorrow. It helps us to stand out as great leaders who will always be known for their remarkable achievements. So in this session, you will learn what is strategic leadership and how to develop the skills that really define a strategic leader. And in order to be very practical, we will select one example which will stay with us till the end of the session, so we see how the process starts and how it can lead to the desired outcomes. And let's start with the definition. What is strategic leadership? Strategic leadership is the ability to guide individuals or a team or an entire organization toward long-term goals. It is not about making good and right decisions. It's about shaping the future, this direction of an organization or a team, while still balancing current demands with a vision for growth and adaptability. And as you will see in the next few minutes, a strategic leader creates a shared purpose or vision, fosters innovation, and ensures that resources are aligned to face both present and future challenges. But the question is how strategic leaders actually achieve this. In order to answer this question, we need to break down strategic leadership into its core components, which are 9, as you see them on the screen. And the order here is important because each step builds on the step before, and so on. Starting with visionary thinking, which is the ability to see the big picture and to clearly describe where your organization or your team is heading. And of course, if this is set correctly, a strong vision can really inspire teams, motivate them, and connect them or their work to a larger mission. A leader can set a vision in 2 very different ways, and the difference between these 2 ways often determines how committed the team will become. The first way is the traditional top-down approach, and in this approach the leader sets the vision alone and then asks the team to follow it. While this method may look efficient and fast, it usually creates weak ownership. The team members, few of them may understand the vision, but they rarely feel connected to it. It becomes the leader's vision, not their vision, which limits enthusiasm, creativity, and long-term commitment. The second approach or option, which is far more effective in my opinion, is co-creating the vision with your own team. Instead of announcing a direction, the leader here can bring the team all together in a structured workshop. Everyone contributes, shares ideas, challenges, and refines the future direction collectively. Yes, when people help build the vision, something powerful happens. They take ownership of it, they feel responsible for bringing it to life, and their motivation becomes internal inside them rather than forced on them. So co-creation also uncovers blind spots the leader may not see alone. And don't forget that different perspectives, different field insights, different day-to-day experiences can shape a more realistic and actionable vision. Let's say that our long-term vision in our exercise today is to position the medical team as the strongest scientific advocates for the healthcare decision makers within the next 5 years. Now, what we will do in the next steps is we will turn this vision into reality. We will do this via the next step, which is the strategic planning. And this is a core component that follows setting the vision. And as the famous saying goes, a vision without a plan is just a dream. Strategic planning is what really transforms a long-term vision into something real and something achievable. It bridges the gap between where you are today and where you want to be in the future. Let's stay with the same vision we used earlier to position the medical affairs team as the strongest scientific advocates for healthcare decision makers within the next 5 years. If we wanted to start strategic planning, it involves several key activities. First, defining clear, measurable goals that support the vision. Then, assessing both internal capabilities and external pressures so decisions are grounded in reality. Then, creating actionable steps that guide the team year by year and sometimes quarter by quarter. Strategic planning helps leaders prioritize initiatives, allocate resources wisely, and ensure every action contributes to the long-term directions of the organization. If we use our vision in this exercise, how strategic planning will look like in practice. Let's imagine the leader and his team sitting together in a workshop and translating the vision into a structured 5-year plan. Since the vision is to become the top scientific advocates for decision makers, the strategic plan may include steps that can reflect this vision, like, for example, building deep expertise in health technology assessment, because decision makers increasingly require economic and value-based evidence before approving or reimbursing treatments. Also, the plan should include developing new evidence generation programs that address budget constraints, real-world outcomes, and payer questions. It also may include training the entire medical team on payer-driven communication, learning how to present the data in ways that influence the formulary discussions and healthcare interests and investments. Also, a plan here may include establishing partnerships with policy experts, academic centers, or health technology assessment bodies to strengthen credibility, types of customers that probably the team didn't consider before. Also, the plan should include creating a pipeline of future key opinion leaders who can represent the organization at high-level advisory forums. Each of these initiatives becomes a strategic initiative, a building block of the vision. And for every initiative, the leader must ask a very important question: what steps must we take to achieve our vision? This question ensures that the team is not just busy, they are moving in the right direction and not in many directions. So then, strategic planning provides the structure and discipline needed to keep the team aligned, focused, and accountable throughout the entire journey. And to be very clear here, without the first step, without we seek to set a vision, nothing else works. If the vision is not well defined, or if the vision is vague, you may still create a plan, yes, but it will not necessarily be the right one. That's why in true strategic thinking approaches, every plan must be rooted in a clear, well-defined vision. The vision guides the direction, shapes the priorities, and ensures that every strategic choice supports the future you want to create. So without this strong vision, planning becomes an exercise in activity, not strategy. The third component of strategic leadership is decision making, and it is where the leader here needs to lead. We know that strategic decision making is about making timely, informed choices that balance what the organization needs right now and what it must achieve in the long term. And leaders here rarely have the luxury of full information. They often operate in uncertainty, weighing risks, evaluating trade-offs, and considering both immediate impact and future consequences. So let's connect this to our example today: to position our medical affairs as the strongest scientific advocates for healthcare decision makers in 5 years. This is our vision. And to bring this vision to life, the leader will find himself in a place facing several decisions, such as: should we invest in upskilling the team health technology assessment now, even if it requires time and budget? Should we relocate resources from traditional activities to evidence generation that supports payer and policy needs? Should we prioritize partnerships with policymakers and payers, or just focus first on strengthening our capabilities? Should we pause lower impact activities to free capacity for long-term priorities? Each of these decisions comes with risks, costs, and some uncertainty. But if you are a strategic leader, you will approach them differently. Instead of reacting or guessing, you will have to make 4 simple steps. Get the data and analyze it. 2. Consider multiple scenarios. 3. Anticipate potential outcomes. Consult cross-functional partners. And then you choose the option that best supports the long-term vision, not just the short-term comfort. This is the essence of strategic leadership. The goal is not simply to make decisions, but to make strategic ones, strategic choices that really can move the team or the organization forward. The 4th component of strategic leadership is adaptability and resilience, which is the ability to adjust, recover, and respond when circumstances change. And in today's environment, change is not an exception, it's the norm. Even with a clear vision and a well-built plan, unexpected changes will always arise. A strategic leader understands this reality and prepares for it. So if we go back to our example today, positioning the medical team as strongest scientific advocates, even with this direction in place, leaders will face new variables that require immediate adaptation. Like, for example, a sudden change in reimbursement policies that would demand stronger health economic evidence, or in new health technology assessment requirements that would shift the type of data needed for payer decision making, or emerging competitors, for example, influencing treatment pathway, or guidelines that is changing the entire disease landscape, or internal factors like budget limitation, restructuring. New scientific breakthrough also can reshape the entire picture. Adaptability means revisiting the plan, not the vision, and asking ourselves, what needs to be prioritized now? Which initiatives must be accelerated? Which ones should be paused and redesigned? What new evidence must be generated to maintain credibility and meet the decision makers' needs and answer their questions? On the other hand, resilience means staying committed to the long-term vision. Even when short-term obstacles appear, it is the ability to recover quickly, learn from the challenges, and keep moving forward with confidence and trust. For example, if payer expectations suddenly shift toward real-world outcomes rather than clinical data alone that you used to have 4 years ago, a strategic leader here doesn't hold to the old plan. They adapt by accelerating real-world evidence studies, strengthening health economic outcome research capabilities, for example, and ensuring communication reflect the new expectations. This flexibility is what allows the team to stay relevant and continue progressing toward 5-year vision. The 5th component of strategic leadership is collaboration and influence. The ability to bring people together, align diverse perspectives, and move the organization toward a common goal. No strategic vision can be achieved by one person, especially not a long-term vision like the one in our example today. To deliver this vision, leaders must work across multiple functions, teams, and external partners. For internal collaboration, for example, our vision requires close coordination with market access to align evidence generation and payer needs, with health economics and outcome research to design the studies that would answer real-world questions and support reimbursement, commercial teams to ensure scientific messages complement but do not duplicate market-facing activities, research and development to influence clinical development decision earlier in the life cycle, regulatory affairs to anticipate changes in health technology assessment expectations and approval pathway. All these teams work in harmony in order to contribute to the vision. And here strategic leaders create this alignment by communicating proactively, clearly, facilitating discussions, ensuring everyone understands how they contribute to the long-term vision. This is only the internal collaboration. But when it comes to external collaboration, again, it's overwhelming. If the objective is to be recognized as strong advocates for decision makers, then we have to collaborate with policy experts, health technology assessment bodies, academic institutes, payer representatives, patient advocacy groups, regional authorities, scientific societies, and the list is endless. These external partnerships are not optional. They help you to shape evidence needs, identify the gaps, and build broader credibility. So no one said that strategic leadership is easy, but it is enjoyable when you think of the outcomes. The sixth component of strategic leadership is innovation and change management. This is the ability to introduce new ideas, guide teams through transitions, and drive long-term success. And here, innovation is about reimagining how things can be done better in a different way. And in medical affairs, innovation is essential. If we wanted to achieve our shared vision in this exercise, for example, and be the strongest advocates for decision makers, this level of transformation requires more than just improvements. It demands willingness to challenge old habits, adopt new ways of working, and embrace approaches that can create real value for healthcare stakeholders. To achieve this 5-year vision, several innovative steps may be required. Like, for example, implementing new evidence generation methods such as real-world data studies, predictive analytics, enhanced health economic outcome research modeling, developing payer-focused educational programs designed around budget impact, a lot of ideas. Maybe using digital platforms to communicate insights more efficiently to policymakers and decision makers. Maybe also leveraging more artificial intelligence-enabled tools to analyze trends, evaluate healthcare system pressures, or even identify unmet payer and patient needs. But innovation alone is not enough. A strategic leader must guide their teams through transitions, which is the challenge of change management. When promoting new approaches or new technologies, like a new operating model, for example, resistance is normal. Some team members may feel unsure, overwhelmed, or even skeptical. In this case, a strategic leader will do 1. Explaining why change matters in the context of the 5-year vision that we all own. 2. Show the team how these new capabilities would elevate the team's value. 3. Provide training step by step. Provide the right tools and support. Celebrate early wins to build momentum. And address concerns openly and honestly. The 7th component of strategic leadership is ethical and sustainable leadership. Leading in a way that builds trust, protects credibility, and ensures long-term value for the organization and the healthcare system. Remember, ethics is not an accessory in leadership and not an option in medical affairs. And when with vision like ours today to position the medical affairs team as strongest advocates for decision makers, ethical leadership becomes more than critical. Why? Because healthcare decision makers will simply rely on you for truthful, balanced, and transparent scientific guidance. The eighth component of strategic leadership is talent development. There is no strategic leadership without developing your team, building the people and the team who will ultimately bring the long-term vision to life. The strategic leader understands this simple truth. An organization can never outperform the capabilities of its people. So if we remain with our example today about building advocacy with the healthcare decision makers, how a leader can develop the talent of his team in order to reach this vision. The team must have the skills, confidence, and scientific maturity required to operate at this high level. And this doesn't happen by chance. It happens through intentional, structured talent plan. Building capabilities need another vision. So to achieve this 5-year goal, we can choose from a long list of capabilities, like for example, health technology assessment trainings, health economics and outcome research trainings as well, peer communication, policy-oriented scientific messaging, value-based healthcare principles, advanced medical strategy development, and a lot of things on the list medical affairs needs to learn in order to achieve such a high-level vision. The role of the leader here is to identify which capabilities are missing today and builds a plan in order to develop them over time. The ninth component of strategic leadership is performance management and accountability. This is the discipline of tracking progress, evaluating impact, and ensuring every action moves the organization toward the long-term vision. Strategic visions becomes reality only when progress is measured consistently and transparently. Because without clear metrics, the team cannot know, are they moving in the right direction? Are their initiatives creating real value for decision makers? Are we closing the capability gaps we identified earlier? Are the investments we generate really generating scientific influence and trust? Are we becoming closer to being recognized as the top scientific advocates with the time passing on? What strategic performance measurements look like? So these were the 9 components of strategic leadership. If we want to bring them all together, strategic leadership is not about mastering one skill. It's about integrating all these components into daily practice. Visionary thinking sets the direction. Strategic planning maps the path. Decision making drives action. Adaptability, collaboration, and innovation ensure resilience. Ethics and sustainability build trust. Talent development and performance management secure long-term success. Before we close, let's shift from the organizational perspective to the personal one. You cannot develop strategic leadership overnight. Strategic leadership grows through intentional practice, continuous learning, and self-reflection. Here are few recommendations to help you build and strengthen your strategic leadership. 1. Learn strategic thinking deeply. Train yourself to look beyond the immediate task. 2. Expand your perspective. Strategic leaders embrace diverse viewpoints, as we mentioned. 3. Invest in leadership education. Leadership is a skill, and like any skill, it can be developed. 4. Embrace emotional intelligence, because strategic leadership requires more than logic. It requires empathy, self-awareness, and the ability to manage emotions, both yours and others. So emotional intelligence helps here. 5. Foster a growth mindset. Yes, challenges will always arise, but strategic leaders see them as opportunities. Remember this. 6. Practice decision making under ambiguity, because you will never have all the information you want at the time you need to make a decision. 7. Build a resilient team. Again, because a strategic leader cannot succeed alone, developing your people is part of developing yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope this session brought valuable insights that you can apply in your own leadership journey. Take care and see you in the next tutorial.